So with Battlefield 2042's lifespan reaching its end, it's time to start thinking about the next Battlefield game. With a lot of the community losing patience with bad launches and poor communication, I've compiled a list of things that I think DICE need to do for the next Battlefield game to be a success. Without further ado, let's get straight into point number 1. Teamplay. Take a look at this image. 35 engineers, 6 supports, 8 recons and 12 assaults. And it's not just that match in particular, I see it in many different matches on all of the main game modes, you know. Conquest 128, Breakthrough 64, Conquest 64, I see it on all of them. And the reason why they're all playing Engineer is because it is just objectively the best class. If you're Liz, you get Rocket Launcher and you can carry mines and C5 and a repair tool, but I don't see many Liz people using that, to be honest. If you're Crawford, you get 5 rockets, which is enough to solo a tank, no matter what angle you're hitting them from. Assuming they don't back away, you know, assuming they're brain dead and they don't back away from you. But just think about that for a second. If you're a tank driver, right, if one guy has enough rockets to kill you, what's 2 or 3 guys gonna do? And this is why you see many tank drivers hiding at the back, because to the casual player, how on earth are they supposed to overcome that? You know, they come home from a Friday night, they're tired, they just want to go on Battlefield. Oh, alright, I'm gonna go drive a tank. Oh wait, I'm dead. What are you supposed to do exactly? You can't do anything, and that's because DICE have created this sort of I can solo a tank, I'm Rambo mentality, and this is where I'm gonna get some controversy because the community will disagree with me very heavily on this. You should not be able to solo a tank. You shouldn't be. Simple as that. One tank should be pushing through, not running away, and that's how it should always be, and that's how it has been in previous Battlefield games. So I'm going to take you here now and I'm going to show you what I mean. So with rockets, Crawford gets 5 rockets and he can literally kill a tank from the front, the frontal armor, in all of his rockets. Now that's 5 rockets for just the front, you know, that's supposed to be the strongest part of the tank. Of course, this is assuming you don't just repair or stuff like that, or use APS and run away. But one person being able to carry enough rockets to kill you has never been the Battlefield formula. Now if we go back to Battlefield 5, which definitely had better team play than Battlefield 2042, you will notice that the results are very different. So as you can see, we're on 3 health after 9 rockets, so it will take 10 rockets to kill it. So yeah, there's a huge difference that you can see there, and that all ties into my point originally, which was team play. If that tank was in a game, you aren't taking it down alone. You need somebody with you, somebody resupplying you, and ideally other people with you who are also shooting rockets at that tank. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be one guy being able to take down a tank. I cannot stress it enough, that's not how Battlefield games should work. The high influx of engineers means that there are even less medics and less supports giving you ammo and reviving you. As a result, less team play. So if you're wondering why nobody's reviving you or why no one's giving you ammo, go back to the spawn screen, check the number of engineers before complaining in the chat about shit medics. Now, I don't just like to complain and not give a solution, so this leads me on to point number 2. Proxy chat. Now this is also quite controversial because I have asked people this and it's mixed opinions, but I think proxy chat, if done correctly, will really benefit this game and genuinely take it up a level. One of my biggest criticisms of the Battlefield franchise is that I rarely find anyone communicating, and if it is, then they're only communicating just to pass off a complaint to me or someone else on the team. BattleBit, a blocky Roblox styled, you know, Battlefield clone, they have proxy chat and it works pretty decently over there. So I feel like if they can do it, then DICE can do it. And BattleBit was programmed by a couple developers. It's got a really small development team. Now, of course, it could be optional. And of course, it would have a very small radius. But when you compare it to older Battlefield games, like, you know, if you set your voice chat to team and it used to be just constant ear rape, well, that doesn't have to happen anymore. You can have proxy chat, and so you can communicate with anybody in the area, let them know, oh, enemy on there, enemy over there. Or, even better, say you're a transport helicopter pilot and your gunners are off looking at some woman instead of what is in front of you. You can scream down the mic and tell them, you can tell them. And they won't just sit there cluelessly. Well, hopefully they won't. But they won't sit there cluelessly, and you can communicate effectively, and it will just help the entire game completely. Now, I spawn into a lot of Battlefield matches, and sometimes I spawn in and I realise the team is getting absolutely decimated, which is what leads me on to my next point. Behemoths. Many people branded Battlefield 1 as one of the best Battlefield games of all time, not just gameplay wise, but atmospherically wise, and I think Behemoths were a big part of that. Not only did they add to the atmosphere, but they also actually turned the tides of the game. So, as I said before, my team would be getting decimated. That's it, game over, right? You might as well leave now. The team's out. Whereas in Battlefield 1, the Behemoth would show up and you could actually get bases back and turn the game around. Also, they just looked amazing, okay? They added so much to the game and it gave it life. And that's something I think 2042 also lacks. Now, I know what you might be thinking, especially you, Dice, you're going to be thinking this. In a modern Battlefield game, how could you realistically incorporate Behemoths, right? Because you can't just plop a massive airship in the middle of a modern battle. That's not going to work. So, how can we fix this? Well, my first idea, a missile cruiser. You know, they're present in real life, they're used in any modern military, and all it would do is, it would just, you could have a player driving it, and then a bunch of seats controlling different various weapons that could, you know, be used to provide support to the infantry that are on the actual battlefield. Some other ideas include AC-130. You could honestly, it's 2025, but you could have some sort of like wild card explosion revolution event, like a drone strike or something, or an orbital strike, you know, something like that. Just something special to add to the game, you know, instead of it just being the same thing. I know they tried this whole dynamic weather system thing, but I'm gonna be honest, it 9 times out of 10 it just ended up screwing over the losing side. Especially on things like Breakthrough. It would just clear out the defenders' bases because they couldn't get in it properly and completely skew the line, and yeah, it just didn't work properly. This next point's a really short one, but just no specialists, please. Can we not have specialists ever again? I don't ever want to see that done again, okay? Thanks. Again, another really short one here, but when it comes to campaign and lore, either have lore and a campaign or just don't at all. Yeah, none of it, okay? Because right now in 2042 we have like half. We have this whole Wikipedia section telling you all about the characters and all about the world, but nobody knows because there's no campaign to explore it with. So in other words, it's useless. They shouldn't have bothered writing any of that stuff out because nobody's going to read it. So for example, take this. Did you know Sundance is not a she? I will guarantee most of you call Sundance she. In the game, Sundance is referred to as they, not she. And that's my point. You didn't know that. I'm pretty confident you didn't know that. I'm pretty confident the big YouTubers didn't know that. Because who the fuck reads the Wikipedia? And that's my point. I know some people, they won't care. They just won't care about lore or campaign. But if you think about it, that's resources going to waste then. Just them writing all that out. Even if they used AI, somebody's had to spend time going through it and editing it. And again, that's just precious time they could have spent actually, you know, fixing the game. Now this point goes more back to Battlefield's roots again. But in Battlefield 2042 we had basically 0 Easter eggs. There are a couple minor ones you could notice, but nothing significant. Like even now I can't remember anything significant that I remember seeing on YouTube or reading about. Whereas back on Battlefield 5, we had the goddamn crab rave Easter egg. That was quite funny. Battlefield 1, we had the whole Peacemaker, I think it was called Peacekeeper revolver. We had that. That was a great Easter egg. Everybody loved that. And then Battlefield 4, you had the crossbow. You had the crossbow. You had the bow and arrow. That was also good. The Phantom program, that was called. It's things like that that just create a Battlefield game, you know, it completes it. It's stuff that people have gotten used to over time, and it's stuff that people are going to miss. I certainly miss Easter eggs in Battlefield matches. Might not be your thing, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't include it. Oh, Levolution. It's something that was clearly missed out in this game, and on purpose. They were running out of time, but Levolution creates a Battlefield game, and to not have it to the degree that we had in previous games is quite sad, to be honest. The destruction we got in 2042 was irrelevant, really. You had a couple signs on Kaleidoscope, on Hourglass the buildings break, which honestly it made attacking it even worse because now there was even less cover. Just nothing, it all felt really lazy. And now when you compare it to previous Battlefield games, Battlefield 4, that was over 10 years ago now, we had a whole skyscrapers coming down. Why are we going backwards is what I want to know. I sincerely hope they haven't forgotten about Levolution, because if they do not have that for the next Battlefield game, it will not be a Battlefield game. I personally think Naval should be a thing in Battlefield. I think it adds to that all-out warfare experience that they say they want to create. And just having every element of war, you know, you've got the Navy, you've got the Army, and then you've got the Air Force. I think it all should tie together very well. And especially more water island-based maps like we had in Battlefield 4. I would love to see more of those in the next Battlefield game, because it just adds to the fun. And the whole aircraft carrier thing, that was also very nice in Battlefield 4. And just in general, I think Navy should be back in Battlefield. Okay, this one's more personal, but I swear to God, if we do not have persistent servers and a server browser in the next Battlefield game, somebody at DICE needs to get a firm slap on the head, yeah. Because they cannot get away with that again. They got away with it this year, and I'm surprised that not many people spoke about it, but they cannot get away with it next year. They cannot. It is a joke to not have a basic server browser. Now we have the one in Portal, that doesn't count. Okay, that's not the main mode. And in terms of persistent servers, they don't exist. As soon as the match ends, you have to go back to the main menu and then load again. And it just kills it. It kills the teamwork that you might have had with a person on your team. And it also kills the server, you know. It's like giving you an excuse to go offline. It kills the game. Okay, it's like, alright, I'm going to go back to menu now. Alright, might as well go off then. That's another thing, you know. I don't understand why they couldn't just copy and paste it from Portal. I mean, my only theory is that it's because Portal was written by a different company. And just the communication between all of these companies was very minimal, so neither company knew exactly what they were on about, and so it never got copy pasted. But yeah, anyways, back to the point. If we do not get persistent servers, us as a community, the Battlefield fan base, we need to genuinely storm onto EA HQ and invade it. Let's go Battlefield on them, yeah. But for legal reasons, I'm joking. Anyways, before we get on to the last point, I want to read out a couple honourable mentions, because I think they do need to be addressed, but I don't want to dedicate too much time to it because this video is getting very long now. 1. Movement from Battlefield 5. 2. Ballistics, especially from Battlefield 5, you can shoot through wood. 3. Keep the plus system, it actually worked very well in 2042. 4. Get rid of the call-in system, it did not work well, you end up with vehicles on top of roofs. 5. Pay sound design a bit more attention this time. Previous games had great sound design, 2042 just lacked it again. Even had recycled sounds like the V1 rocket as the Condor engine sound. Anyways, on to my final point of the video. This one again was mixed opinions. Some people really liked the 128 player thing. Some people don't because it's just too hectic on some maps. But I think, and this goes for bigger maps as well, I think if both are done correctly, it is doable. Because I think on 2042 it's got bad reputation because they've rushed it, both sides of it, 128 and the big maps. But both can 100% work. We've seen it done before by other games. There is no reason why it can't work on Battlefield. For example, BattleBit. BattleBit, again, is, I keep referring back to them, but they are a great example of why this is possible. Obviously, BattleBit, I believe, go up to 256. I don't think, even with a AAA company, that would be possible because of graphical limitations. I mean, I remember Breakthrough 128 used to get so laggy because of the explosions and all the grenades, because obviously it's running at much higher fidelity. But that doesn't mean 128 isn't possible, and I've seen it done before. When they fixed the maps, they did the redesign. Some of the maps actually worked very well with 128, and there was very little like just running around blindly, and rare moments where you weren't in cover, stuff like that. The redesigns worked, and I think that should be proof. And hopefully they don't back down from it and go to 64. I would really like them to stay at 128. If you have enjoyed listening to this, please consider leaving a like. If you resonate with any of these points, and you don't have to agree with them all, please share it. Send it to a friend that plays Battlefield, get them on board. We need as many people on board with this, because otherwise DICE won't listen. And this isn't really my job. It's not. I'm not big enough to do this. I'm mainly looking towards the bigger YouTubers to get the word out. I have seen a couple videos, but they were like a year old. Back when Battlefield 2042 was struggling. I haven't seen any recent news like wish list things for Battlefield 2042. And I think a lot of points that I've made, I've tried to be original with them. I don't think I've seen anybody else talk about them. All the big ones like Jack Frags, Ghost Gaming, Level Cap. I haven't seen any of them mention any of these points, or most of these points. So I'm hoping that if any of them watch this, just take the video. I don't care. Take it free. Copy and paste it up to your channel. I don't care. React to it. Just do a blank face thing. Just get the word out. That's all I care about. I just want the next Battlefield game to be a good game. Okay? End the suffering, please.